Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Vixen Voice. It is my deep pleasure today to introduce my friend and peer, Brandi Munguia. Yes, I did have to check my notes on that last name, so Brandi, feel free to correct me. But anyway, as you're going to see, first of all, buckle your seatbelts because if you think I have a lot of energy, I think Brandi has more. So, earmark this episode anytime you need a burst of energy, a burst of confidence, a burst of courage. Just come back and listen to it because that is what we're bringing you today. And as you know, I always like to share with you why I love our guests because they're all people from my life that I've come across. And Brandi and I just got to know each other in the last few months. And basically, we had her. She's a business strategist, so we'll get into that a little later. And she got on with my COO and I, helping us like structure our programs and with pricing. And she slapped me on the hand and told me I wasn't charging enough. Yes, I do coach y'all on charging more. So I got the slap too. So anyway, I immediately love Brandi because in 30 minutes, she gave us so much wisdom. And you'll just see how positive, courageous, and confident she is. And she's just a person that you want to have in your life. So Brandi, welcome.
Thank you so much for that, April. It has been an honor and a privilege to get to know you over the last couple of months. And thank you so much for inviting me onto your podcast to serve and to share with you all that's listening today a little bit of my story and some of the things that have helped me be successful as well. I love working with other powerhouse women. And my goodness, April, are you that? And I'm so excited to kind of see how your audience absorbs from today. But I look forward to diving in.
Yay, I'm so excited. So, Brandi, since it's your first time on the Vixen Voice, I always love to ask can you share with us maybe a pivotal point in your life that helped you become this amazing, awesome, courageous woman sitting here before us?
Yeah, that is it's one of those loaded questions, right? Because as a lot of you here might feel is there's a lot of pivots that happen in our lives that help compound to who we are. But one of the things I'd like to share is that there was a time where I had declared to myself and I said, I'm going to lean into my elegant era. And what that meant for me was taking myself more seriously. I was starting to grow in my career because I have been a business owner. I owned a business in trauma recovery. I had helped women in the transformation space and helping them recover from trauma, specifically them who have experienced deep loss as well as domestic violence. And with my training and my tools around trauma recovery, I loved what I did. But I had gotten into the world of entrepreneurship by coming into Dean Graziosi and Tony Robbins' world. And in that, I had said, gosh, I would love to work with them one day. And I started attending events. And in those events, I was feeling myself being more and more drawn to business strategies. I'm a tech girly. I love software. I love hardware. I love all the pieces that go into technology. And because I had built my own business and brand, I had seen where I could raise my hand more when they were having events. So when they were seeking people to volunteer or to moderate, I was raising my hand to do so. And over time, there was a call to action to become a coach for them. And I said, oh my goodness, like my whole background, I feel like has been in that trauma recovery and I'll never stop serving in that space. And I love that space. But I was like, gosh, I'm meant for more. And I raised my hand for those areas and was chosen to work with them. And that was absolutely incredible. I got this opportunity not only to coach in event settings, but then to do more one-to-one and group coaching under their umbrella. And I loved it. I love it to this day. And as I was growing in my career, I had noticed there were certain points that I was faced with resistance. And I just kept asking myself, what is it about me that I'm not able to break through and get to that next level? I knew that I wanted to work with higher caliber people. I knew that I was someone who was able to break through in those types of conversations. But I had said, I really want to get deeper into my speaking. And as I started evaluating where I was at, was that I wasn't so much presenting myself the way that I knew that I would be taking myself more seriously. And so when I declared this, I'll never forget. I went to a ballet show with my best friend, and her and I got dressed up as elegantly as we could. And I remember seeing pictures of us after this event, and I said, I am stepping into my elegant era. I will make myself be more not serious in the seriousness of it, because I knew I was educated. I knew that I'm well spoken and I carry myself well. But I wanted to be someone that if I saw myself, I'd be like, gosh, I would love to have you on my stage. That was like my declaration. So as I stepped into the elegant era, what that meant for me was to also be able to look at things more objectively and less emotionally. It meant that I was going to raise my hand for more difficult opportunities. And I was challenging myself more. And I was saying, I'll do that. I'll try that. Give me a chance. When I stepped on the stage for the first time into the studio, that I had once been a student on the screen, and here I was now the teacher. And it was such a surreal moment for me to be like, how did I get here? How did I do this? And it was all the times that I was courageous enough to say, I'm willing to change. I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to learn whatever it takes. I didn't know anybody in the industry that knew Dean or knew Tony to give me opportunity. It was me raising my hand in ways that challenged. And when I was told no, when I was like, no, not right now, or no, and I had a great mentor, and my mentor would say things to me that at the time felt harsh, but were necessary, where he was just like, are you taking your own self seriously? Because if you're not taking yourself seriously, then how are we supposed to take you seriously? And that was to me, made me realize that I could still be my authentic, loving self. And trust me, I'm a silly goose. I can be a silly goose. But there were these moments where I was like, I do need to take myself more seriously. And that meant being less emotional, not taking things so emotionally when someone was giving me direct feedback. I needed to be able to hold space in difficult conversations without emotionally responding. So this being able to be objective also helped me speak less and say more with saying less. And holding a tone or holding a presence. And that to me is what the elegance meant. The elegance was, what does it look like for me to have a presence outside of the way that I look, but the presence of authority and trust, and knowing that I was someone that could have difficult conversations. And that to me was one of the most courageous things I could have done in my career, was declare my elegant era.
I love it. I don't know. Every time you say that, I love fashion. I love aesthetics. I love beauty. And so I'm always like, this year, what do I want to look like? And I remember it was right before my financial practice took off. And I was like, I'm going to channel Jackie O this year. And so, I mean, a very modern version, but, always done like jewel tone dresses, heels, jewelry. And it's so funny because I discovered my uniform because it was easier to dress as a woman when, okay, this dress goes with this jewelry and these shoes, right? Done.
Right.
And then my team would dress the same way. And we would go to conferences with thousands of financial advisors, and they knew us because of the way we dressed and we branded ourselves, right?
I love that.
And, so that keeps popping up in my mind. So, my question for if you're listening, how intentional are you being with how you show up? And I don't mean being fake. I mean, I looked for an image that was true to who I wanted to be, right? Like,
Absolutely.
this is how I want to show up this year. And now that I've sold the financial practice and, it's a little more casual in the coaching industry, and it's the same thing. I mean, you'll still see me in jewel tone colors, right? Like this, I love color, but it's like, okay, well, what's this new version? Like, what do I want to, how do I want to show up now? And I'm asking myself, so it's not fake, it's really who I want to be. But, for
Absolutely.
different parts of our lives, there's different things. So I
Yeah.
love how you're leaning into my elegant air. It's just like amazing and awesome.
Yeah.
You said so many things I want to dig into. So, first thing, you talked about raising your hand. So, as you were a student, you started raising your hand to volunteer, to help, to
Yeah.
participate, kind of go up the ladder. I wanna dig into that moment because I think there are so many moments, people listening, and I know it's happened for me. It's like, do I raise my hand or not? Like, how many times have
Right.
we wanted to raise our hand and we don't, right? So
Yeah.
I really kind of want to get into your emotions, your psyche, your mentality. Like, what was going on? Or were you just so enthusiastic that the hand just popped up and you're like, yep, I'm doing this, right? Like, and I'm happy to share a moment like that for me too. But, that
Yeah.
first time you raised your hand on this journey, like, kind of walk us through how it felt, what you were thinking, if you were just so excited that you weren't thinking. Like, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. That's a really great question. I would say when it came to opportunity, any opportunity you have in your life is you saying it's better to do it than to not do it. Because if you don't raise your hand, you're going to always question, what if I would have? What if I would have gotten chosen? What if I, and then the opportunity may never come back. That's another piece that when I was dancing with this in myself, I was like, gosh, am I even strong enough? Like, what if I don't work with entrepreneurs. I work in and it was this like, there's always going to be resistance. The biggest thing I can say to you is that you must face resistance in order to grow. And in the raising of the hand and the multiple times that I had, no is not always no forever. It's no for now. And it's the opportunity to choose to face it until you make it. You'll hear it in the industry, in any business industry, is that, oh, you must fake it till you make it. But I disagree with that. It's that you must face it till you make it. When they say, if you hear this fake it till you make it, sometimes you have to choose courage, which makes us feel like it makes us feel like we're faking it, but we're not. We're really just saying, I'm going to come to this table with the optimist in me. Even though I might be fearful of this, I'm going to choose optimism. So it's not about faking the optimism. It's about facing the optimism, even in the discomfort. It's about choosing to say, I am going to do something, even though I'm terrified, even though I am questioning my worth in that. I'm going to face it. I'm going to allow myself to raise my hand. I'm going to allow myself to submit that audition video. I submitted multiple audition videos and I went through several interviews before becoming a coach officially under that team. And as I grew and became a senior level coach and then an executive level, it was me saying, I'm willing to face something. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to let my authenticity show. And it was these pieces where I'm like, well, if my authenticity doesn't fit, then it's okay. I'm not going to abandon myself in order to be seen. I must choose myself and my authentic self. And if that fits, great. If it doesn't, then I will look into other opportunities. But it's important that you allow your authenticity in who you are and your resilience and your persistence and your perseverance. That is who makes you who you are. It's not your quirks, okay? We all have our quirks. It's your grit. It's your tenacity. It's your ability to problem solve. It's your ability to thrive in chaos. That's your authenticity. And if you have fun doing it, great. But it's the end of the day is you raising your hand and saying, I choose my courage, because the only way for people to know I exist for these opportunities is for me to raise my hand for these opportunities. And if they say no, what do I need to learn from that opportunity shift, or what do I need to hone a little bit more before I put my name back in the hat? And to not be discouraged by times you're told no, and just really look at those as opportunities to grow.
Yeah, I love that. And, I want to come back to the multiple auditions because that's so important. But first, I want to talk about resistance because, I'm a person who doesn't like to hear no. I've been like that like my whole life.
Me
My
too.
mom's like, you don't like it when people tell you no. You just figure, I was like, yeah, I'm just going to find out a different way to do it. Right. So, I mean, that's an inherent characteristic I have that not everyone has. So I want to acknowledge that. But my younger self, I looked at resistance as, this kind of scares me. I'm not sure if I can do it.
Yeah.
That means I
Yeah.
have to do it, right? Like it was that
Absolutely.
simple. Now I want to say my older and maybe a little bit wiser self recognizes that's resistance and it's an opportunity for growth or to learn
Yeah.
something new. And
Yeah.
because I want to grow and I want to evolve and I want to learn something new, it's not will I succeed or fail, it's will I succeed or will I learn something new, and maybe I get to
Yeah.
do both, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah, I just think it's really important to really pay attention to how you operate and what your mentality is and your feeling in those moments of resistance, because like you said, without resistance there's no growth. We know
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
butterfly and the
Absolutely.
cocoon, they're distorted
Yeah.
without the cocoon, right? And a diamond doesn't
Absolutely.
become what it is without pressure. And
Yeah.
then your other thing you mentioned is this multiple auditions. That stuck out to
Yeah.
me because
Yeah.
I mean, I do have to admit, because I'm pretty tenacious and I push my way through, I don't often do things multiple times. It is something I have to get better at. I'll just be like, okay, wasn't meant for me. Let's go do this. And I go do something else. So I appreciate that. And it reminds me of Jamie Kern Lima's story where, she was 10 years pushing It Cosmetics on the brink of bankruptcy, finally gets a break at QVC. They told her no, like, you know, I don't know, probably 100 times. It's ridiculous how many
Yeah.
times she got told no. And she sold out when she finally got her break, I think because they had a cancellation or something. And then she sells her company for $1 billion+. I mean, that's
Right.
crazy. Just think if she had not kept pushing, like that would have never happened, or if she hadn't just
Yeah.
kept showing back up, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's important because a lot of our listeners, we're kind of, I don't like to say I'm midlife, I'm 47, but I'm living to be 124. So I'm only a third of the way through my life.
I love
However,
it.
that being said, a lot of times when you have an established career, an established business like you have a family, you have this life, it's kind of like, oh, am I going to go try something new and upset the apple cart? But
Yeah.
if you don't, do you have that desire still pending in you, right? So talk to
Absolutely.
us about that because you had a business. Like you
Yep.
didn't have to raise your hand to like
Yeah.
go coach, to mentor. I mean,
Yeah.
you had a thriving, successful business. You have a happy family. Like, so kind
Yeah.
of talk to us about what really pushed you to say, nope, I need to do this.
Yeah, it was to me it was a bigger picture in the sense of I had always wanted to help people on a larger scale of helping them get out of their way, because I had faced so much resistance in my life because and this may you may resonate with this, for some of the listeners here. I had experienced so much loss, so much rejection, so many times that I had questioned, like I've literally, to me at the time, I just said to myself, I got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can hurt me at this point in my life. So why not? And when I looked at opportunity cost, right? When we say sometimes there's cost that comes with opportunity, it was me saying like, I'm not abandoning myself for once. I'm actually stepping into who I've always wanted to be. And it's when I say who I've always wanted to be, was that I'd always wanted to be an impactful individual that leaves this legacy of perseverance because I had experienced so many life circumstances that I had persevered through. So I needed to apply that same mindset to business and to career and opportunity. And so I knew that because I was able to recover and grow and heal from circumstance in my life, I knew that the challenges that came with business were also things that I could face and overcome and compound and grow in as well. And so I started taking that same gritty mindset, because anyone here that's listening that has business understands there are grit seasons. There are seasons that you must grit through. And as I was pivoting in my career self and looking at, setting down my personal business to absorb this larger opportunity and the reach, to me was, okay, there's a resistance that comes with this, but what does it mean for me in the long run, to be able to serve on this capacity and serve on this level? And you all have this moment where you will question what you're doing. You will all be like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right thing? Am I going to be able to handle this? And I'll say, yes, you can handle anything that you choose to do for yourself. No matter what changes, no matter what pivots you must make, you can handle it because you have handled difficult things in your life. You wouldn't be listening to podcasts like this if you weren't seeking growth. You wouldn't be, chasing what's next for you if you didn't know you could handle it. Is there moments of resistance? Absolutely. Is there moments of questioning, what the heck am I doing? Absolutely. But it's a different level of you that faces it as you are evolving as a person. When I look at who I used to be, and don't you love when like your phone memories comes up and shows you an old picture of you and you're like, I don't know her. She doesn't go here. Who is that even? Because you changed so much, right? It's like you changed so much. And it's allowing to love who you had to be to survive while also nurturing who you are so you can become the person that you are meant to be. And in that, the person that you are meant to be, she's facing resistance. She's overcoming obstacles. She's elevating herself to the next level, even when it's a little scary. It's your ability to face that in the persistence. Persistence compounds in progress, and that's where the success comes from. Because courage, and this is what we're really anchoring in today, is that all the times that you had to be courageous in your life when you thought you couldn't pick yourself up off the floor, all the times that you had to say no to people or cut people out of your life or take an opportunity or say this is a temporary season, all the time that you had to lean into your courage got you on the other side. And as you lean into your courage deeper in your success, you will have moments where you say, gosh, I have to be courageous. And on the other side of that courage is peace. And with that peace, you want to protect your peace at all costs. And as you're stepping into parts of your career or things that you want for yourself, that elevates your peace, that elevates your stability. And so as you're getting to the other side of your stability, you're saying, gosh, I knew I could do this because you had the courage to do it. And that courage compounds. And on the other side of that compound is your success. And on the success, it brings you so much peace. Things that you're like, gosh, I'm living my best, most authentic life. And you will do anything in your power to protect that peace over time. The more that you access it, the more you want to protect it. So not to digress a little bit there, but success has so many different layers.
Yeah.
And
No, I
it's important that you
agree.
access that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love this that you brought up peace because that's what I talk about at the Vixen Gathering. We're going to help you scale your business, but at the same time help you have more peace, joy, and love in your life because, you don't want one without the other, but
Yeah.
it is a new version of it that you find as you ascend and evolve, right? Like there's
Yeah.
different ways you
Absolutely.
find peace, joy, and love. So Brandi, what we're talking about a lot today is like how we pull up our bootstraps, get courageous and move forward, right? But
Yeah.
obviously, again, a lot of times people are scared to make changes because of how it will affect everyone around them, right?
Yes.
Especially if you're a mom, a
Yes.
wife, you have a business,
Absolutely.
you're working in a job, you know, and so talk to us about that. Like how,
Yeah.
as you kind of moved up and evolved, How did that affect people around you, and what did you have to do to protect yourself to make sure that you kept going?
Well, this is a great, great question and a great discussional piece because when you're growing in your success, two things happen. You see who is for you, and it reveals who is not for you. And
Yeah.
those who are not for you are the ones that will try to stop you from being successful because it makes them feel threatened.
Yeah.
And by this, I mean you will need to set some really hard boundaries as you are growing in your success. You will need to tell people no that have been using you and have been benefiting from your self abandonment. So as you are growing, you will learn to stop abandoning yourself in order to be accepted. And you will expire loyalty to people who have made you feel rejected, people who do not have positive intent for you, that you have wanted to love you or wanted to be proud of you. You must be proud of you. If there are people who you feel like you have to obtain success in order for them to be proud, they should already be proud of you now. And if they're not, they may not have the positive intent for you, because by you being successful means that it somehow harms their self-image or their own lack of success. And so I've had to remove those types of people in my life, and it is emotional and it is hard because it's a coping process to let go of people that are seeking to hold you back out of their own limiting belief and their own fear of success. And so if you're questioning, gosh, if I'm successful, is this going to harm, my best friend or my family or my spouse? Really ask yourself, are they truly in positive intent for you? Because you have had positive intent for them to the point of self-abandonment, to the point of saying, well, I'll put myself on hold if that means that this person is comfortable. You have to stop making yourself uncomfortable simply to try to make other people comfortable, and then they turn around and reject you anyways. So avoid the rejection by simply not abandoning yourself for other people's unfair expectations. And you must prioritize your ability to grow. You must prioritize, because when I look at, I kept rejecting my husband's support. And I'm going to get a little vulnerable here. My
Please.
husband has been my biggest supporter from day one. That man had told me many times, you have to let go of these people because they are holding you back. They do not want you to be successful. They only want you to be there for them. And the minute that you stop being there for them, you get cut out. They don't want anything to do with you because you're not abandoning yourself anymore. And my husband would tell me this. And I said, well, they don't have anyone else. This is how it is. I have to be there because without me, then they fail. And my husband said, let them fail. Because it's not worth you failing. It's not worth you falling apart for them when they don't value you. They don't value your success either. And he said to me, I'm here for you. We're here for you. We have a daughter. And he's like, you have everything right here for you. Stop chasing those who do not want your success. They don't want you in their life. They want what you do for them in their life.
Yeah.
And that was really hard to accept for me to realize after all the years that I wasn't unconditionally loved. I was loved with condition. And the condition was, in order to be loved, or in order to feel like they were loving me, was me self-abandoning. When I stopped self-abandoning, I'll never forget when someone said, you don't prioritize me. And I said, you're right, because you're not my priority. My daughter is my priority. My husband is my priority. That is my family. And it was this click on that I realized that that person believed that if I wasn't self-abandoning, that I wasn't worthy of being a part of their life. And so when we look at deconstructing relationships in our lives, sometimes in order for you to be successful, you must leave them behind. You must outgrow the people who are not growing with you. And
Mm-hmm.
and here's the thing. Their process, their healing, their experience is not for you to absorb. Their
Mm-hmm.
unfair expectations of you is not for you to absorb. You cannot talk your way into convincing them that you are anything other than the false narrative they've created of you. And it's
Mm-hmm.
important that you really honor and respect who you are authentically as you are letting go of people who do not accept that authenticity. And that can be some of the people that are most closest to you. They will always try to invent you to be someone you're not because that's what makes them feel safe in their
Mm-hmm.
disconnects or in their disrespect. So it's important that you respect yourself enough and love yourself enough to prioritize the people who do want to protect your peace, who do want to see you be successful. And as you're releasing people who do not want you to be successful or do not respect your ability to do more, be more, because they have a hard time realizing that you come from the same space, but you are not in the same place. And
Mm-hmm.
that's important that you respect your ability to elevate and escalate and evolve while they continue to ruminate and stay the same. That's not your problem, and you can't solve it for them. So, my husband being the person that unconditionally loved me, I kept trying to say, well, hold on, hold on. I really want to bring these people with me. And my husband kept saying, why? Why? And as it got to a point where I really was releasing those people, my husband had re-anchored for me saying, you will never be alone in your life because you have me. And it
Oh, I
was not
love
out of
that.
control. It was not out of like,
Mm-mm.
I'm going to make this better for you. It was him saying, just accept who you are. He will always say to me, I just wish that you could love yourself the way that I love you unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of us, we grow up with these imposed upon us mindsets, imposed that
Mm-hmm.
we must self-abandon in order to keep a family. We must, give everyone else ourselves because it's selfish to be successful. It's
Mm-hmm.
greedy to be successful. You're a bad person if you don't bring your family along. Wrong. Because what someone said to me once, and I've said this many times before, is they said, you have to stop worrying about the last of your bloodline and you need to
Mm-hmm.
start worrying about the legacy of the life that you're creating and your choice, the people who choose you. Your husband chooses you. Your
Mm-hmm.
children, they are your heart on the outside of your body. That is the life that you are creating. Stop chasing the broken pieces and start constructing from the pieces that you've made and allow yourself to absorb the people that truly want to see you be and succeed in all that you are. And it is a coping process. I'm not going to sit here and say it's easy to let go of people and all of a sudden you're just setting boundaries and life is wonderful, because as you're growing in your success and you want to share that success with the people that you
Yep.
are letting go of, you have to remind yourself they will never respect your success. They will never see it for the way you intend for them to see it. If I was to go back to the people in my success and where I'm at now, I mean, I have gotten the privilege to be on some of the biggest stages in our industry. I
Mm-hmm.
have had massive successful points in my life that I wish I could go back to the people I've held hard boundaries with and say, guess what? I finally did that thing that we were talking about since we were kids. I can't believe it. It would never be met with love. It would never be met with, I'm so excited for you. I'm so proud of you. It will never be met with that. So stop chasing that rejection. Stop chasing the validation from
Mm-hmm.
others, because you must validate in yourself that you knew you could do these things. And then accept the love from the people who unconditionally love you. Truly accept it.
Mm-hmm.
There was pieces that I had to accept. I kept rejecting my husband's love. I kept saying to him, like, hold on, just wait. But he was so patient and so kind in so many ways, where he was just like, well, one day she might realize how much I unconditionally love her. One
Love
day
it.
she might accept it. And it came with when I changed my name. When my
Yeah.
husband and I officially got married on paper and I became a Munguia, it was like this new identity was able to be absorbed, because I kept trying to chase what it meant to be a Nelson. Nelson's my maiden
Mm-hmm.
name. because I had lost both of my parents. I wanted to be this like hold on to the legacy that was Nelson, but Nelson
Yep.
came with so much pain. It came with so much resistance. It came with so much trauma. And I kept trying to reinvent some wheel that was never for me to reinvent. So when I became a Munguia, under the umbrella of my husband's unconditional love, I was able to absorb this new identity of who I've become in my life. And my husband was a huge impact on who I've become because he unconditionally loved me. He unconditionally supported me. Even in my wildest dreams and things that I have done, my husband was like, well, you got this, honey. I believe in you and I'm going to stand with you no matter what. And there were so many times that I was like, thank goodness I have this man because I don't know how I would be able to do these things. He picked me up off the floor so many times in my life with him. I've been with him for 10 years this year. And in the last decade we've been together, he has picked me up off the floor more times than anyone else has in my life. And I couldn't do
So
what I do
beautiful.
today without that. Sometimes we look at our spouses and we take for granted who they are. And it's because of the man that he is and whom he's become that has allowed me to become the woman that I am today, the mother I am today, the wife I am today, and the successful business person I've become. Because my husband empowered me to own my authenticity because he loved my authenticity. And I finally started to see what he saw and stopped rejecting myself. And it took removing the people that kept trying to convince me that I wasn't good enough. It took me removing those people who kept saying, you're not good enough unless you abandon yourself. You're not good enough unless you fit the mold of what I want you to be. You're not good enough unless you are exactly who I need you to be. And it was that my husband just kept saying to me, you are enough.
Yep.
You're enough. Always enough. More than enough even. And I
Yep.
needed to accept that from him. So yeah,
Well,
long
it's
story long on that.
no, it's interesting because a lot of times it is the men in our lives who help us see these toxic relationships.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's the most close and it's truly because, they love us, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where it's coming from. And I love how you talked about your husband's unconditional love, but also now you've learned to give that to yourself, right? Because
Yeah,
I always tell
absolutely.
my clients and anyone listening, like, you have to be your biggest cheerleader. So
You
you
have
said
to.
it a little bit
Yeah,
different, but you
absolutely.
have to be your biggest cheerleader. And another thing you mentioned, I mean, this conversation is so good. Thank you for bringing it up, is when your husband said, let them fail. So a lot of
Yeah.
times you're talking about from your perspective because you had to let go. But
Yeah.
my spiritual journey helped me get much better at this because I now see
Yeah.
it that if I'm dragging you along with me, I'm not doing you a favor because you're
Yeah.
here on earth for your journey and your lessons.
Absolutely.
And if I'm
Absolutely.
solving them for you, I'm actually damaging your journey. I'm not
Yeah.
helping your journey. And so
Absolutely.
when I came to that realization, like in the last year, there's been a lot of, health issues, drama, divorce, etc. in my family, and we're very close. And I caught myself getting sucked in. I'm a single female
Yeah.
and I'm always there for everyone. So they think I'm just there. And I
Yeah.
was like, you know what? You just need to put on your big girl pants and deal with this. Like, I
Yeah.
remember Thanksgiving
Yeah.
Day thinking that, right? And like,
Yeah.
but I still, like, all the time I'll text and I'll be like, I love you. How are you? Like, I keep that
Yeah. Yeah.
unconditional love, but I'm not getting sucked into solving the problems, the drama.
Absolutely.
Like, they
Absolutely.
have to go through it because
Yeah.
it really is part of their journey. And I'm not a mother, but my nieces and my nephews I'm very close to.
Yeah.
And then my parents. So, that's where I learned the lesson. And to be a mother, that's even stronger, that bond, right? To learn
Yeah.
to have that
Yeah.
disconnect with
An
your kids.
example.
Because if you're always
Yeah.
solving everything for them, especially as adults,
Yeah.
what are they learning, right? Like so
Absolutely.
many,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of times I help my clients put in boundaries with their kids. I had a client who was still
Sometimes you
like
have to.
grammar correcting her daughter's text messages. And I'm like, she's in graduate school. She can do her
Yeah.
own text
Yeah.
messages. Like, this is
Absolutely.
crazy.
Well, it's like you get to a point where, self-love is self-preservation. It
Yeah.
it really is. You must preserve yourself. You can't save everyone else from themselves, down to the
No.
grammar. Okay. It's these pieces where you must release control. of what you think someone else's life should be, or what you think their response might be to you.
Yep.
And in order to self-love, you must self-preserve and
Yeah.
self-regulate. And that's not selfish. It's
Mm-mm.
not. There's a lot of people that struggle with, well, if I prioritize myself, am I hurting someone else? It makes me selfish. And it's like, no, self-preservation looks a lot different than selfish. And it's
So it
important to self-preserve.
For me, it's the opposite because I always talk about how, as women, we're often the foundation of the home, foundation of our
Yeah.
business, foundation of communities. So, if we're not taking care of the foundation and it's cracked, like what happens for
Yeah.
everyone else, right? Like the
Yeah.
building's not in good shape or the home's not in good
Yeah.
shape. So, it's actually an act of love to the people you love to love yourself and take care of yourself because
Absolutely.
also then when you're giving from a full cup, it's so much more powerful than giving from an empty cup, right? So then
Absolutely.
you're
Absolutely.
choosing to give and you're giving out of love, and the whole
Yeah.
frequency changes. So Brady,
Absolutely.
unfortunately we are running close to time, but I'm probably going to
Oh,
have you
that's
back because
okay.
there was
Yeah.
another topic we went into that I would have loved to dig into with you. So I know you have a crazy schedule, but hopefully we can get you back on here. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
being so open today. I think these are, a lot of topics we talked about are what many women struggle with. And,
Yeah.
you talked about boundaries. Setting boundaries is a skill set. Like, you really
Yeah.
want a framework
Absolutely.
for setting boundaries. You practice. And at first, like a toddler, you're going to fall down often. And you just
Absolutely.
have to keep getting back up and setting the boundaries.
Yeah.
I talk about that a lot with my clients and in our mastermind. So I love that. And also, protecting your energy and your success. So a lot of people
Yeah.
don't understand the dynamics of energy. But when you
Yeah.
are going to try to share your success with people who didn't want to receive it, you're actually hurting the energy of your endeavors, your momentum, everything you're doing, right? And so I have an energy spiritual coach, and when I was starting Vixen, he was like, don't tell anyone what you're doing. Like, I don't want
Absolutely.
you to share it with anyone until it was formed and it had its own energy set and consciousness, right? Because
Yeah.
then it could be protected. And, there were particular people I did not share it with, just like I'm sure
Yeah.
you found particular people, but
Absolutely.
not,
100%.
yeah, Brene Brown says, not everyone deserves to know your story, right?
Yep.
So let's be
Absolutely. And not
careful.
everyone gets to come along on the journey either. It's just that, and it's okay. You don't have to
Yeah.
feel guilty for that.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, we don't have time, but I'd love to dig in with you another time. You talked a lot about grit and having to get your emotions under control, and I'm saying that a little harder than you did. But,
Yeah.
what we like to talk about at the Vixen Gathering is this is all true because we have to operate in a certain masculine energy for parts of business to get
Yeah.
things done. But I
Yeah.
don't want women losing their feminine essence in that because
Oh,
that's when
yeah.
burnout comes. And you talked about maintaining your authenticity and your love and how you're a goofball and I'm a goofball too. And and so anyway, I would love to dig in deeper with you on another time if you have when you have time for that because I
I
think
would
that would
love
be a
that.
great topic. Yes.
Yeah, I would love that. Yeah, and just some of my parting thoughts for all of you listening today is that you are strong enough, you are
Mm-hmm.
capable, and you are worthy of creating the change by choice that you desire in your life. Trust yourself to make that happen. 100%.
I love it. And Brandy, I always like to wrap up with our new guest by asking, because we are about feminine energy at Vixen Gathering, when do you feel you're most feminine? When do you feel your feminine energy flowing?
Oh, that is a wonderful question. I would say owning your feminine power when is when I feel most connected to my feminine energy is when I am truly speaking from my authentic heart-centered space.
Mm-hmm.
I release my masculine when I am mic'd up and about to speak to an audience.
Yeah.
I feel really connected to my feminine power, and there's an authenticity that comes in that, but an authority that comes in that as well.
Mm-hmm.
And the other piece is being a mother. But it's showing my girl, leading an example for my girl, that knowing that she's watching everything that I'm doing, is that it's okay to be a strong woman and
Yeah.
to allow people to be there for you as well.
Yeah.
And that's when I feel most connected to my feminine power, is just truly in alignment with who I am, and showing my girl what it means for her to be confident is to trust her courage and all the things that she wants for herself as well.
I love that. So, if you put a color to your feminine energy, what color would it be?
Ooh, oh man, I would say definitely yellow is a big one for me,
Yeah.
because the sunflower was such a big part of my brand,
Oh,
and like a aquamarine blue, similar to what is in the background here, is these colors together really, is
oh, I
these
love
two
it.
things. There's this calmness of the blue, and then this joy that's associated with the yellow. And I feel like I've truly found that in my life, in my feminine self, is the calm that I feel and the joy that I feel in my life now.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Today was so fun. I can't wait till I get to see you in person again in a couple of months.
Yes.
In the meantime, thank you so much for coming on. And for everyone listening, Brandy gave you such a powerful message. So rewind, listen to that wrap up message. As I said at the beginning, any day you need more courage, more confidence, more energy, just flag this episode, listen again. And just wanted to let you know that we are now posting all episodes on YouTube. So if you're listening and you're like, oh, I want to check Brandy out, head over to YouTube. We are there. You can see her beautiful face. We can't wait to see you there. And as I always say, today, just go forward. I feel the world needs more love. So, how can you show up in love today? How can you show up in
Yeah.
love with yourself, the people around you, and what you do? So, thank
I
you
love
again, Brandy. It was so wonderful.
Thank you so much for having me, April, and take care to the audience, and can't wait to see you guys again soon.
Awesome. Bye, everyone. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye.